every Wednesday, we are doing a webinar on the different instruments of the rock and pop syllabus. So today's webinar is all about drums, and I hope we have lots of drummers in our audience. It's going to be very, very exciting, and you're going to learn a lot. Unfortunately, because of the structure of the webinar, we cannot share very much. So we have with us today as presenters Prateek Kulgod from Mumbai, who is a drummer, percussionist, drum teacher, also part of a band, and Albert John from Ludhiana, who's a music educator, a composer, as well as a performing artist. Two very talented musicians, and they will be taking you through today's presentation. Now, the presentation we have designed for this webinar is a little different from the usual syllabus presentation that we do, where we go into every detail of the syllabus and the exam. We thought, since we are doing individual instruments, we should make it really instrument specific and discuss some aspects of the exam which are very, very important, such as styles, techniques that go into playing these songs, as well as some theory. Theory is also very important, and just because we are doing contemporary music, it doesn't mean that we ignore the theory. So that is how we have designed the presentation. There'll be a first section which will be general about contemporary music and a musician. We will talk a little bit about the exam. We're not going to ignore that totally. And then we will talk about the various styles and techniques needed for the grades, as well as the theory that is needed. So sit back and enjoy this. And I'm going to hand over to Prateek to start this webinar off.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to all our attendees attending today. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic is rock and pop drums. Drums is a very exciting instrument. It's sort of a loud instrument. And today we will take you through, as ma'am said, some styles and techniques that are part of the rock and pop syllabus. Now, I hope we all know that performance is at the heart of Trinity's rock and pop drum syllabus. Not only drums, in fact, any rock and pop exam, be it guitar, keyboard, vocals, performance is at the heart of it. It means that when you're giving the exam, the Trinity Rock and Pop exam, you're not actually giving an exam, you're doing a show, you're going for a gig, you're performing, and the audience is the examiner. As we progress through the grades, that is grade initial to grade 8, you will in fact develop some really valuable skills, playing skills, musical knowledge, and those will help you achieve your musical ambitions. We have a huge range of artists in this syllabus. We have artists like Iron Maiden, Bruno Mars, with songs like Uptown Funk, Queens of Stone Age, Alabama Shakes, Red Hot Chili Peppers, so many artists over here. Now, let's discuss the type of music that is covered in rock and pop syllabus. The term we are going to use here is contemporary music. Contemporary music basically means the music of the present time, the present era. What we hear in movies, on radio, the songs we hear today on digital streaming platforms like like Spotify, even a lot of Bollywood songs, take all that music comes under contemporary music, the music of present day. Contemporary music is a form of popular music ranging from soft rock to ballad, hard rock to heavy metal. There is reggae. There are so many styles that are part of contemporary music. It includes, amongst others, pop, soul, rhythm and blues, and rock styles. It is extremely and widely popular all over the world, and almost everyone, in fact, everyone listens to it. This was contemporary music. Now, who is a contemporary musician? A musician who plays, who knows the styles and techniques that are needed for contemporary music is a contemporary musician. A musician who would play music across various styles, usually without any formal training. Now, Trinity realizes the need to develop such a skill and the popularity of contemporary music, and they have designed the syllabus around this whole thing. They have, this is what Trinity this is what Trinity does best. They have designed a very nicely a well formed syllabus around this and the assessment for contemporary music. Performing rock and pop music is fun, it's cool, enriching, and extremely rewarding. I'm sure we all have experienced this. We've all given exams. We all know how fun it is to learn and perform these songs. Receiving international certification makes it a very good value proposition. Now, the role of a drummer. We are talking about drums today. Drum kit. The A drummer has many roles. One of them is a drummer could be a part of a band performing in shows, you know, and gigs, as well as a songwriter. We all know the famous band Eagles. The singer was in fact also their drummer and their main songwriter. A drummer could be a session musician in a recording studio or a session musician with a band. A good example of a session musician in a recording studio is we all hear these backing tracks that Trinity gives us for the exam. They are in fact recorded by session musicians. And also session musicians are today a part of a band. A lot of pop artists who don't actually have a band with them, they hire session musicians to go with them on tour. Drums and the bass guitar make up the rhythm section of a band. This is a very important part of a band. This forms a very good foundation. Basic role is timekeeping. Yes, a drummer's main job is to keep time and keep the whole band in check time wise. An adept drummer provides rhythmic excitement, coloristic texture, rhythmic bridges. I feel a drummer can, very well play some really exciting, really cool fills, that smoothly transitions from one section of a song to another. Playing the drums requires ambidextrous skills, and we all know that we need all four of our limbs to play the drum kit, both the hands, both the feet. And as we go along, we learn more and more techniques, more and more styles. We develop some really cool skills, dexterity wise, on the drum kit. Now let's look at some drumming techniques and styles. The essential drumming styles as you can see on the screen, is this: rock and punk, funk and R&B, blues, reggae, jazz, Latin. Uh, in contemporary music, there are many more, but the basic styles can be these. The basic styles are these. The styles that we hear are a mix and mash of these basic styles. Drumming technique depends on the style of music you're playing. Exactly. Now, a technique that you'll be using for your foot, for your hand, the kind of sticks, the kind of loudness or softness, your dynamics, everything depends on the kind of style you're playing. Drummers need to create specific rhythm to match this style. Like for jazz, you'll be usually playing the swing on the ride. For funk, you'll be playing syncopated rhythms. These are just a few examples. For rock, you'll be playing a very rock solid, a heavy sort of a groove. This is just some examples to how a drummer uses specific rhythms for a style. Now let's look at the drum kit. Um, we all know the very common drum kit is a 5-piece drum kit. As you can see on your screen, the left-hand side picture is of a 5-piece drum kit. Why is it called a 5-piece drum kit? That's mainly because there are 5 drums in there. First, let's start with the snare drum, 1, then the kick drum, and 3 toms: tom 1, tom 2, tom 3. The picture says small tom, medium tom, and floor tom. These can also be called rack tom 1, rack tom 2, and floor tom. These were the 5 drums. Other than the drums, we have the cymbals. There's the hi-hat, which is played by hand as well as your foot. There's the crash cymbal. Usually in a contemporary music setup, we have 2 crash cymbals, one on the left and one on the right. And we have the right cymbal. This is the drum kit. Now we have sticks. There are different kinds of sticks. The one on the top is a wood made stick, which is very common in contemporary music. It's used in a lot of styles ranging from rock, pop. A lot of songs basically need sticks to be played. But when you need a swishing kind of sound, a softer kind of a sound with less attack, less punch, you use brushes. Mainly, in musical styles like jazz, brushes are used very commonly because they have that swishing sound to it. Next up, let's look at some gripping techniques, because these are very important for a drummer to know. First is the classical grip, the traditional grip. This is how the drummers started. First came the marching band. This was before the drum kit used to exist. Marching drummers had the drum hoisted on their shoulders. Because of that, the drum came around the midriff region, and the traditional grip was the more comfortable grip to play the drums in that position. But eventually, the drum set evolved where the drums were not the drums were not mounted on the body; they were kept on the floor, and because of that, drummers felt there's no need to play the drum in the traditional grip, so they just move both their hands to the match grip position. Match grip position is nothing but where your palms are facing down or towards the drums. Some drum playing positions. There are hands wise, there are two. As you can see, the top two pictures, they show the cross-handed drumming position. Cross-handed is nothing but a position where your hands are crossed. One hand goes over the other. The hand that is on top plays the hi-hat. The hand that is on the bottom plays the snare drum. This playing position can be used by righties as well as lefties. The picture on your left is a righty drummer. On the right is a left-handed drummer. Now, what happened was, because of the cross-handed playing, drummers noticed that the hand that is playing the snare drum didn't get a full range of motion. It was restricted by the top hand. So what one drummer, Billy Cobham, who was in fact a right-handed drummer, what he did was he said, let's switch our hands. Why not play the hi-hat with the left hand? And he was in fact a righty drummer, and I feel that has that has a big advantage for right-handed drummers, because what happens is now your weak hand, which is the left hand, is playing the hi-hat, the more busier rhythms in some music, and that adds dexterity to your playing. Second advantage that open-handed drumming gives you is you get the full range of motion for your snare drum. So I would really invite drummers and drum teachers to try out the open-handed drumming position. Next up, we have foot positions. Heel up, heel down. Heel up basically gives you a more punchy, a more louder sound. Heel down, the heel up position is where only the toes are touching the pedal, and the heel down is where the entire foot is rested on the pedal and is playing the kick drum. Heel up, as I said, gives you a more punchy, a louder sound, whereas a heel down gives you a more softer and a more feather touch kind of a sound. So depending on the style, you can choose what kind of foot position you need to play with. Like for a rock kind of a scenario, you can use the heel up, and for a jazz or softer playing, you can use the heel down. So that brings us to the end of this section. Next up, I would like to hand over to Anjali ma'am to talk about the drum syllabus.
Thank you, Pratik. Very useful information. I hope you enjoyed that. Before I begin on the syllabus, just to tell you, you can put any questions relating to this presentation in the Q&A box. And of course, the chat is also open. With us today on the panel, we have Priya Chaturvedi from Dehradun, we have Ritvik from Bangalore, and we have Gopal from Kochi. So they will be there to answer all your questions. So now we're going to look at our syllabus a little bit, not going into all the nitty gritties. But before we do that, let's just watch a short video which gives us a very good idea about what our syllabus is all about. So as you saw, certain words in this video really popped out at you. It was short and sweet, but the word real was there 3 times, and there were skills, progress, songs. And the final thing was about performance, which we can't stop stressing. Our exams are all about performance. We all need to perform in front of an audience. We love doing that, and that's what we encourage you to do. So if we just look at those words a little bit, you have real songs. Our syllabus is made up of all existing songs which have been arranged as per the grades. by expert musicians. We have real skills which are required, skills and techniques which are required to play these songs. And of course, because of our graded exam system, we have real progress. We progress right through our grades, developing all these skills. So, as you see on the slide in front of you, our songs are marked out of 80, which again reinforces the fact that performance is given a big amount of importance. So 80 marks for the 3 songs. We don't have separate technical work, but one of the 3 songs is also a technical focus song where certain techniques as per the grade are tested. The rest of the 20 marks go to session skills. Now, Pratik did explain very well to us what is a session musician. So, session skills are skills that a session musician requires to be a successful musician, whether he is playing in a recording studio or with a band. So, the 2 skills that we have in our syllabus are playback or improvising. We choose one of these. So the playback, very easy. It's just a piece of music that is given to you and you need to play it back, as the word says. And improvising, you have a style to which you put in your own music. This is very relevant for a session musician because when he walks into a recording studio, he's not received any kind of score before. Very rarely does he receive it, and he's told right there what he needs to play and what he needs to do. So these 2 skills are very important to be a contemporary musician. Now let's just move on to a little information about the exam and what happens in that exam room. We are not today going to go into the syllabus in details. We have the syllabus for you to download from our website, trinityrock.com. We also have hard copies. You can request your Trinity support office to please give you those. Those are also available. So I've just picked out a little information from our syllabus. The first thing we're going to address is tuning and setup. Up to grade 5, assistance can be used from the teacher for setting up and tuning your drum kit. From grade 6 onwards, candidates need to do this themselves and nobody else will be allowed in the room. A little bit about instruments. For initial to grade 6, please remember it's up to grade 6, you can use an electric drum kit or an acoustic, of course. From grade 7, the stipulation is that you use only an acoustic kit. Centers generally provide acoustic kits. So if you're using an electronic drum kit, please make sure you inform the center and set up well in time before. And also make sure you carry extra cables to plug in your drum kit into the system provided by the center, and check the sound before the day of the exam so that you know everything is in order. Because sometimes the sound that comes from an electronic drum kit does need adjustment. So make sure you do all this before the day of the exam. However, please make sure if you're using electric drum kits that the instrument is capable of producing the timbral and dynamic variety that is required by the pieces. Now, in the exam room, when you've gone into the room, the examiner will play the backing tracks for the songs that are in the Trinity songbooks. So if you're carrying your backing tracks, they will be a backup copy in case something goes wrong. However, if you've chosen a song from outside the syllabus, which is an option for song 2, you will carry your backing track with you and on a pen drive or a CD. So the examiner will then play it for you. The sound check is done and you can suggest if you want the volume raised or lowered. The examiner will also have a say in this, as all our exams are recorded, and he needs to have the right balance to make sure that the recording is clear. So what do you need to carry into the exam room? You need to carry the original Trinity Rock and Pop songbook. As I said, any backing tracks that you may need to use, your completed appointment form, your drumsticks. Now, please remember, at the moment, we are in the middle of digital exams where we have the option of uploading a video with just your songs and submitting it to Trinity for marking. So these instructions that I'm giving you do not apply to the digital exam. They apply to a live face-to-face exam situation, which we are very hopeful will be back soon. Okay, so what is optional? Now the candidate may want to bring in additional cymbals, double bass drum pedal, cowbell, china cymbal, etc. for the pieces that he has chosen. He is most welcome to do that. Headphones and headphone splitters can be used. Any additional equipment that is carried in should not take more than 3 minutes to set up. And if you do at the grade 6 to 8 level want to use your own drum kit, please request this at the time of entry. And also if you're a left-handed drummer, you must state this on your entry form. Of course, ear defenders are recommended by Trinity as we want safety of hearing, and they are used by the examiners, and candidates should also be using them. So this is just a little information about what happens just before the exam. Everything else is available in our syllabus, so please do go through it. And if you have any other questions, you can always send them to us. Now we are going to go through the styles and techniques of the various grades. We are going to look at 3 levels. We've grouped the grades into 3 levels, which is what has been done by Trinity, by the Office of Qualifications of Qual. And these levels are foundation, which are initial, grade 1, 2, and 3. And then we have intermediate, grade 4 and 5, and advanced, grade 6, 7, and 8. Now, to take you through this section of our webinar, I'm going to invite Albert. Albert, please take over.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am, and good afternoon, everyone. On the screen in front of us, we can see the whole range and variety of styles which are going to be used for the foundation grades. Foundation grades starts from grade initial up till grade 3. We can see solid funk to soul to pop, R&B to souls, grooving to swing. Let's do a keen analysis and look into the structural and features of styles which are there in the foundation grade. To start with, we have reggae. Now, reggae originated in Jamaica in the late 60s, evolving out of the earlier genres known as ska and rocksteady. There were many other musical genres that influenced it, including rhythm and blues, jazz, and mento. It has a significantly slower tempo and has more stress on the beats 2 and 4, and less stress on beat 1 and 3. A standard drum kit is generally used in reggae, but the snare drum is often tuned very high to give it a timbale kind of sound. Some reggae drummers use an additional timbale or high-tuned snare to get this sound. Cross-stick technique on the snare drum is commonly used, and tom-tom drums are often incorporated into the drum beat itself. Let's listen to the song from reggae style, which is featured in grade initial. Yeah, so the song Three Little Birds is by the all-time reggae legend Bob Marley, and it features a style called one drop, which means there is just one snare and one bass drum, both played on the beat three. It is a challenge, though, to avoid playing the first beat of each bar on the bass drum as you normally would. One needs to be very precise when the bass and rim click are used together. Moving on, we have R&B. Now, R&B is a broadly defined genre known for its sophisticated production techniques, exceptional singing, and commercial focus. Contemporary R&B started originating at the end of disco era in the late 60s and 70s when artists like Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones added more electronic elements to the sound of the time to create a smoother dance floor friendly sound. The genre features a distinctive record production style, drum machine backed rhythms, pitch corrected vocals, and a smooth, lush style of vocal arrangement. The artist wanted to use modern production techniques to emphasize musicianship rather than iron it out. The increasing sophistication of production techniques since the 90s has been a key factor in the development of R&B. The contemporary R&B was first recognized by the Grammy Awards for Best R&B Album in the year 1995. The song featured in our grade 2 syllabus is Falling by the New York born talent Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys is a pianist, singer, and a producer who won 3 Grammys for this song. Let's hear the track.
I keep on falling in love with you. Sometimes I love you, sometimes you make me blue. Sometimes I feel good, at times I feel used. Over you, darling, makes me so confused.
Yeah, so falling in love and gently rolling in the groove of 12/8. This R&B requires careful balance across the kit and well-judged emphasis on the stronger beats. Rim clicks need to be experimented well. You got to find that sweet spot that sounds best and consistent. Moving on, the most common and popular word in music is rock. Rock music is a genre which originated as rock and roll in 50s in USA. It is influenced by a number of other genres such as blues, jazz, and classical music. Primary groove of rhythm and blues was shuffle, like tick, tick, chuck, tick, 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 chuck. It became more fast and frenetic, like tick, 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 tick. So from Chuck Berry to Rock Around the Clock, it all started happening at that time, and it took rock and roll to the masses. This was all very revolutionary and driving, and it brought the drummers from the back seat of the band to the main spotlight. Drummers started feeling true rock stars. John Densmore from The Doors, Keith Moon from Who, Mitch from Jimi Hendrix, and Ringo Starr Beatles. These are a few names who had the whole new power and confidence, new techniques to play, and new flashy solos to show. The creation of rock and roll during the 50s also encouraged a wave of fandom with teenagers, and it inspired a new culture altogether that led to disapproving parents worldwide thinking it was a bad influence on their children. Well, having said that, rock music places a high degree of emphasis on live performance and an ideology of authenticity. The next iconic song is Sweet Child of Mine by the famous American group Guns N' Roses. Let's hear it. Sorry. Yeah, sweet child of mine. Well, as a drummer, if we listen it carefully and look to the score of the music, we need to take care with the placement of the crashes which come on the first beat and halfway through the second beat. These are called pushes, and they are used so much in the rock genre. Another element is triplet flams. These are all techniques which we are going to take in the next slide. So let's go to the techniques. Three songs in each Trinity songbook are identified as technical focus, marked with TF. Candidate has to choose one of these to be performed as song 3 with the backing track. This piece is especially designed to develop the technical skills, and the performance is marked out of 30 marks. Here in front of us, we can see a big range of important techniques listed out, which Trinity has designed for a consistent and steady growth of a teacher and a student. The first song is Yellow by Coldplay. Now, Coldplay and the Indian connection, one can see the band's name on their instruments in Hindi. Chris Martin, the frontman of the band, has visited India, and they've even shot their music videos here, which shows their interest in Indian music and tradition, just like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. Talking on the drum technique, the first challenge in this song is the transitions. As teachers, we need to instruct and teach to the students to aim to move smoothly from the crashy hi-hat into the crash cymbal ride pattern. Also think about the balance as you move through this to avoid blocking out the sound of the snare and bass drum. In bars 23 and 24 especially, make sure you play the bass drum solo firmly, keeping the crotchets exactly in time. Let's hear the song. Yes. So dear teachers and friends, we've just heard it. We need to understand that even at the initial level, we all have to inculcate the right techniques to the candidates for a firm foundation. Moving on, the next song is The Weight by the band. This song is featured in grade 1 drums. Make sure you count the push note on the second quiver of bar 15 especially. You will need to feel the placing of beat 2 to keep your place in the song. Now, what are push notes? Push means driving the beat forward, playing ahead of the rest of the band, making the whole thing sound faster and more frenetic. Counting is another technical focus in this song. The time signature changes, and we got to look out for 3/4 bar at the end of the chorus, which will require careful counting. So let's hear the track.
I pulled into Nazareth. I was feeling about 8:30. I just needed some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my head. Knows all he said. Take a load of Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load of Fanny.
Yeah. So the last one we are showcasing today in our foundation grade series is Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz. This song strongly features flams right from the start. The challenge is to get these sounding absolutely consistent and to replicate this when the flams come back again in the song. There are also challenging moments of rhythm, in particularly bar 28, which needs to be played exactly as written in order to sync with the backing track. So friends and the teachers, we need to understand the technical focus song is mainly assessed on the 2 given techniques in the book. However, as a drummer or a teacher, we can have a lot of other observation in the song. I personally see this interesting 3-bar crescendo in this song, which has to be performed very smoothly. And this one reminds me of exactly same example in grade 1. The song was Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars and Mark. So it's a technical challenge, but fun at the same time to take your sound from the soft piano dynamic to a forte loud. Let's hear this wonderful track. Yeah, so that was foundation. And going and moving on to intermediate and advanced grades, I would invite my co-host and friend Pratik to take over.
Hi, thank you so much for that wonderful commentary on the songs, the styles, and techniques we had in foundation level. Now we come to the intermediate level. Over here, we all know that intermediate has grade 4 and grade 5. Uh, Techniques get a little bit more complex, more styles are added. You can see a list of styles in front of you. We have folk rock, disco is there in grade 4, tight funk in grade 5, grunge. There's some grunge songs in there, R&B, funk R&B. So you can see the styles have gotten slightly more advanced, slightly more, newer styles have been added. Let's listen to some songs and give a commentary on the styles. First up, we have Disco. The song's name is Le Freak by the band Chic. Let's hear the song and have some commentary on it.
Freak out. Let's freak, they chic. Freak out. Freak out. Let's freak, they chic. Freak out. Have you heard about the new dance craze? Listen to us, I'm sure you'll be amazed. Big fun to be had by everyone. It's up to you, it's your.
All right, so that was Disco. Couldn't help but groove with the song. Disco is all about grooving. It's a style of music that was used on dance floors. It's about dancing. So dancing means disco demands a strong rhythm section, a solid rhythm section. Now this was very evident. The drummer was using a very constant kick and snare pattern on all downbeats, and adding to this was the bass line. Was playing a similar rhythm and keeping the groove on. To add to the solid rhythm, the drummer also made it interesting by using hi-hat articulations. There was a lot of open close happening, rhythms, different rhythms going on in the hi-hat. That keeps the rhythm section interesting. And this song also features a bass solo. Whenever there's a bass solo in a song, it's very important that the band quiets down so that the bassist, whatever the bassist is doing, that shines out. But because this is disco, the rhythm has to be solid and always driving. So it's the drummer's job to maintain that drive at the lower rhythm, the lower dynamic. So those were a few. That is one of the challenging stuff for the drummer. That was disco. Next up, we have a style called funk. Funk, it's very important to know the term syncopation when you're listening to funk, when you're trying to understand funk. Let's hear the song Sir Duke by this famous artist Stevie Wonder. All right, that was Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder. Syncopation. Syncopation means accenting of weak beats. basically this song, like every other funk song, is full of syncopated rhythms, especially when the drummer kicks in with that first drum fill. That's where the drummer and the bass player are nicely locking in with a very heavily syncopated rhythm. This entire song has swung semiquavers. I feel that a lot of funk song will use the swung semiquavers so prominently because swing makes the song more groovy. As the name suggests, it's swing. It's supposed to move the listener. It has a natural tendency to move the listener. Moving on, we have a heavy rock song, Riff Raff by AC/DC. As Albert mentioned, rock is one of the most common words you will find in contemporary music. We look at a variation of rock. This is heavy rock. Song is called Riff Raff by AC/DC. All right. So you heard, why is this heavy rock? How does the drummer make it heavy? It's by the use of cymbals, extensive use of crash cymbals. This is a very common thing in a lot of heavy rock songs. Crash cymbals are what makes the song sound heavy and trashy. That's why they are called a crash cymbal. Another thing that is bringing that hard hitting feeling in this song is the pushes. It's basically the it pushes is a rhythm that makes you feel that it's pushing the beat forward. Now this is achieved by the drummer by playing the kick and the crash on all the and beats. This song, as you must have noticed, the accents were on all the and beats, and that's in fact how the drummer enters, and it continues throughout the song. The song features a drum solo. It's a 4-bar drum solo played by the drummer. Rock was all about showmanship. It was all about performance. And what better way to, show the performance by playing a drum solo? Those were the styles we wanted to talk about. I just want to make a quick side note here that these features are very useful when a drummer is sitting with a band trying to write music. You can use these, features of the styles and use it in your own music. Let's see the techniques that we have in advanced level. We have a wide variety of techniques, ranging from rock. We have funk. Sorry, I'm so sorry. We have semiquaver triplets. We have rhythmic independence, triplet crotchets, hi-hat, articulation, drive at lower dynamics, time changes. We have some songs that features time signature changes, fast pushes again, solo incorporating fast pushes. Let's hear some songs and discuss this in more detail. First song that we are going to demo is Come Together by this famous band, the Beatles.
Here come old flat top, he come grooving up slowly. He got juju eyeball, he won holy roller. He got hair down to his knees. Got to be a joker, he just do what he please.
All right. Now this song is a very famous drum beat by the drummer Ringo Starr. It's a great drum beat, I feel, because there's a lot going on in the drum beat, and yet the listener attention does not go away from the music. You can still hear the bass line, you can still hear the what the other instruments are doing, and it complements the other instruments very well. We are looking at the clever use of semiquaver triplets here. The triplets in this beat are broken. They are not a one continuous flow. I feel that's what makes it a little challenging for the drummer, and that's a technique That's why this song is a part of technical focus. Drum beat over here moves around the kit. There is the kick drum being used, the hi-hat, ride, and the toms. This is very unusual because drum beats usually just had kick, snare, and hi-hat, or the ride playing a very constant rhythm. But over here, there's much more happening. It's a very good use of arrangement and the drums that you have at your disposal. Next, let's hear Jump by the band Van Halen and discuss how rhythmic independence was used in the song.
I get up, but nothing gets me down. You got it tough, I've seen the toughest around. And I know, baby, just how you feel. You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real. Can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the record machine. I ain't the worst that you see. Can't you see what I mean?
Rhythmic independence. It basically means the ability of a drummer to play different rhythms with their limbs at the same time. Basically, it could mean that the ability of a drummer to play a triplet crotchet, on the foot while playing two quavers on the left hand or the right hand, something like that. Basically, different rhythms played at the same time. Now, here it is portrayed in the pre-chorus section that we just heard. The ride is playing a broken rhythm. This is highlighted here because in a lot of contemporary song, the ride or hi-hat usually played a steady quaver or a crotchet rhythm. This is what makes it a little unusual for this song. Another important part of the song is there's a bar with a triplet crotchet. This is where the entire band comes together and plays that bar together. So synchronizing with the backing track is key here and should be obviously practiced with great care. One tip that would really help a candidate or drummer practice this rhythm is, obviously practicing with the metronome at a slower tempo. Now, because this is a slow and spaced out rhythm, you need to be careful that you're playing it steadily and with equally spaced hits. That was all about Jump by Van Halen. Next, we have Alive by Pearl Jam. Over here, the drummer has used some time signature changes. In fact, the band has used some time signature changes. Let's hear how that goes about.
You know where, now I can see, I just stay, I'm still alive, hey, but I'm still alive, hey, boy, I'm still alive, hey, I'm still alive, oh.
All right. So before I talk about the time changes, I want to talk about the semi-quaver fill that the drummer played going from the pre-chorus into the chorus. That's, I would say, very fast fill because a lot of notes being played on the toms. So practice it slow and steady and make sure you play them clearly and then only increase the tempo. Next, let's talk about the bar of 7/8. There's a time signature change that is happening in the song in the instrumental section that we just heard before the song ended. The instrumental section of the song repeatedly alternates between a bar of 4/4 and a bar of 7/8. Now, because it's a bar of 7/8 and it has just one note lesser than a bar of 4/4, it creates a nice element of surprise for the listener. Now, that was the intermediate section and the techniques and the style we spoke about. Next up, we move on to the advanced level, and let's have a list. So basically, advanced level has grade 6, 7, and 8. What you can see on your screen are the styles that are there in advanced level. Grade 6 has pop, reggae, funk, metal. So now you'll find amalgamation of different styles. Grade 7 has heavy metal, swung 16 notes, soul with a rumba feel. Grade 8 has jazz, funk, drum and bass. Let's hear some songs and talk about these styles a little bit more. First up, we have the song Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine. The style over here is funk, metal, two very unusual styles of music fused together. Let's hear the song and talk about it. All right, funk metal. Two very unusual styles are being fused over here. Now, and it's brilliant how the drummer uses elements from both these styles in this song. Now, funk is popping out in the verse where the drums feature a beat, where the snare drum is actually being played on weak beats. It's a 2-bar beat in the verse, and in each bar, the snare drum is actually highlighting different weak beats. So that's where the funk is. Metal comes up in the instrumental section of the song towards the end. That's where the song actually becomes double time. Now we all know metal is a very fast and heavy style of music, and the drummer is to portray this, the drummer is playing a double time drum beat. The drummer is also playing crash cymbals continuously. This is actually called riding the crash, and that's how the drummer has used elements from both the styles and created funk metal. Next up, we have the song called What Did I Say by Ray Charles. This song is in a style called soul with a hint of rumba. Let's hear the song. Now, as it's evident from these songs that we are hearing in advanced, there is a lot more happening on the drum kit. There are a lot more techniques, a lot more styles, busier playing, a lot of independence that is being used. Let's talk about the song in a bit more detail. Soul is a style of music that evolved from amalgamation of gospel and jazz. It has extremely catchy rhythm. Now that was very evident from the keyboard intro we heard, the drum beat, and that is why it was a very popular choice for dancing. Now in this song, the drummer is actually deriving the dance element from Latin American music. Latin American music is all about dance. Rumba is a form of Cuban music. Drummer has used elements from Cuban music from the style rumba and formed the drum beat that we hear in most of the song. There's a lot happening in the beat here, especially on the ride. The ride is playing a very specific pattern. So to play the beat correctly, first you have to get the ride pattern down solid. Next, we talk about drum and bass by a very famous pop artist, David Bowie. The song's name is Sue.
I got the job.
All right. Drum and bass is a style, as we all heard. It has fast-paced rhythms. That usually the tempo is between 160 and 180. This has to be. This is very important. So in case you're ever writing a song in drum and bass, please remember the tempo is between 160 and 180. Now, as the name suggests, it's a predominantly rhythmic genre because there are two elements being highlighted from the rhythm section of the band: the drums and the bass. This is traditionally, drum and bass uses all electronic elements, but this is where the brilliance of David Bowie shows up. We all know that David Bowie is known for quirky and unique composition, and this is, in this song also he manages to bring out the best of a very electronic genre, that is drum and bass, by using all acoustic elements. We heard the guitar, we heard the bass guitar, we heard the drums, all were acoustic instrument, but he managed to create a drum and bass song. Now this song is at 170 bpm. Speed and clarity are again utmost importance. There is a lot of coordination to be practiced here, because the bass drum and the snare are doing a variety of patterns. So get that coordination right first, and you'll be ready to play the song. Next, let's see some technical focus songs in the advanced levels. These are the techniques that are highlighted in these grades. Many techniques, as you can see over here, the list of techniques has increased. There's a lot more happening, especially in grade 7 we have orchestration in verse. That means basically advanced use of rudiments. We can see drag with flams, again another rudiment. um, Accented semiquaver pattern, semiquaver shuffle feel, ghost notes. Let's hear some songs and talk about this in greater detail. First up, we have fast repeated bass drum notes and accented semiquaver patterns in this song called Misery Business by Paramore.
It just feels so good. I've watched his wildest dreams come true. Not one of them involving you. Just watch my wildest dreams come true. Not one of them involving.
So we heard the accented semiquaver pattern on the snare in the bridge section. Over here, the key is control. Basically, why is the key control? Because your wrist is actually playing a range of dynamics, because it'll be playing very loud as well as very soft. Um, Very important to play the soft notes consistently soft and the loud notes consistently loud. We heard the fast repeated bass drum notes while we were playing the track in the solo section. They are also there in the verse and in the chorus. Basically, it's a double time rhythm where the kick drum is doing a lot more. It's playing a busy pattern, and very important for the drummer to practice this. Next, we'll hear Toxicity by System of a Down. All right, unison with guitar. Where is that happening? When the track started, there was a heavy guitar riff happening, and the drummer was playing exactly the same thing that the guitarist is doing. That is where the unison with guitar is happening. That is what unison means, where you play exactly the same as another instrument. And that has to be practiced, obviously, with a lot of care, because you're playing note to note with the guitar player. Now, ghost notes. What are ghost notes? Ghost notes are nothing but little notes, the notes that are played softer. In this song, we heard the main groove on the snare that came after the unison guitar riff that happened. While playing ghost notes, you need to pay attention to two things. First, the snare drum has both loud and soft notes, which are the ghost notes. They're quite soft compared to the loud hits. If we talk in terms of dynamics, the loud hits are FF and the soft ones are probably MP. So isolate the snare hits, just practice getting the difference in dynamics correctly, Second thing that you need to pay attention to is the ghost notes are demi, semi, quiver triplets, which are very fast. So to sum it up, it's about playing these ghost notes fast at a quieter dynamic with clarity. Obviously, I cannot stress enough the fact that clarity is very important for a drummer. Next up, we will be listening to 7 Days by Sting and how the drummer has used hi-hat accents and improvisation in the song.
7 days is all she wrote. A kind of ultimatum note she gave to me. She gave to me. When I thought the field had cleared, it seemed another suit appeared to challenge me. Woe is me.
All right, time signature of the song is 5/4, but the drummer Vinny Kaluta has played his hi-hat in groups of fours over 2 bars, and he has tried to subtly, disguise the time signature and the fact that the song is in 5/4. Now, these accents have to be obviously played with utmost accuracy. It could get a little tricky while practicing because the kick and snare are in fact following the 5/4 pattern. So as always, practice at a slower tempo, get the coordination right, and once that's done, the song will be a piece of cake. Outro of the song features a improvised section for the drummer. The drummer has to improvise his or her drum parts and fills while the band continues to play the outro section. It's an 8-bar section that is repeated thrice. Over here, the drummer needs to be precise with the fills, with the timing, and of course, use your creativity around the entire kit. The entire kit is at your disposal. Uh, Feel free to use your own ideas, but if you're stuck, Trinity provides a demo track, and obviously you can listen to the original recording, get your ideas, build on those, what the drummer has done in the original recording as well as in the demo track. This brings us to the end of styles and techniques in the advanced level. Next, we'll be talking a little bit of theory and understanding the score. I would like to invite Albert to do the same.
Thank you, Pratik. Theory. For drummers, time is essence. So knowing how to read a music score and the note values becomes very important for an all-round development. In the slide in front of us, we see the clef. Unlike the treble and bass clefs, known as G and F clefs also, which are specifically designed for guitar, piano, violin, and many other instruments. Neutral clef is a symbol used for pitchless instruments such as percussion and drums. It is simply a convention that indicates that the lines and spaces of the stave are each assigned to a percussion instrument with no precise pitch. The drum kit notation key in the next slide. We can see a simple direction and reference how the different parts of the instruments of drum kit are assigned on the neutral clef. We have the ride in front of us, a cross with a stem on the 5th line, hi-hat. We can see the cross hi-hat with a plus sign, open hi-hat with a small O at the top, bass drum on the 1st space, floor tom on the 2nd space, snare on the 3rd space. When playing the drums, you need to get used to the fact that there's no such thing as a standard notation system. This drum notation key is internationally recognized, but you might see a different notation systems, and it can vary different with different publishers and arrangers. The next one is notes and rests. Notes are the beats which makes groove. And what is groove? Groove is your beats like tip, tap, tip, tip, tap. And rests are the silent beats in music. And you know what? Silence speaks louder than words. Well, coming back to theory, the notes are semi-breve, whole note, which is for 4 beats, minim, half note, 2 beats, crotchet, also known as quarter note, 1 beat, quiver, 8th note, half a beat, semi-quiver, 16th note, 1/4 beat, and demi-semi-quiver, 32nd note, 1/8 beat. In drumming, most common is crotchet and quivers. Moving on. we have the bars and the bar lines. Bar lines are placed on the musical staff to separate the divisions of time. Time is divided in groups of pulses as defined in the time signature. The space between two bar lines is called a measure or bar. There are different types of bar lines and indicate a particular way to perform in time. Double bar line denotes the end of a piece. A repeat sign in music is a sign that indicates a section should be repeated. If the piece has one repeat sign alone, that means to repeat from the beginning, and then continue on or stop if the sign appears at the end of a piece. A corresponding sign facing the other way indicates where the repeat is to be begin. Rhythms like triplets. Triplets are used when we want to play three notes in the space where there is normally two. It's a portion of musical time that's been split rhythmically into three equal parts. A triplet is identified by a small three above or below the note beam. Duplets work in a similar way, but instead of playing three notes in place of two, we use a duplet to play two notes in the place of three. Syncopation is shifting of the normal accent, usually by stressing on the weaker beat. A tie is a curved line connecting the heads of two notes of the same pitch, indicating that they are to be played as a single note with a duration equal to the sum of the individual note values. The next slide is for time signatures. I invite Anjali ma'am to kindly take us further.
Right. So just let's look at time signatures, which are very, very important for drummers because they are the timekeepers, as Pratik mentioned in the beginning. So here we've just shown you three types of time. One is simple, compound, and irregular. Simple time, where the beats divide into twos and fours. Compound, they divide into threes and sixes. And irregular time, where the beats divide irregularly. No threes, sixes, or twos and fours. We'll discuss that. So in simple time, you have the common time signatures like simple duple, 2-2, 2-4, 2-8. Most common for drummers would be 2-4. And then you have the simple triple with the 3 beats in a bar and the simple quadruple with the 4 beats in the bar. In the compound time, you have 6, 9, and 12 as the duple, triple, and quadruple time signatures. And of course, the beats here are dotted notes and they divide into threes and sixes. Irregular time is 5-4, 5-8, 7-4, 7-8. This is where you have a combination of simple and triple. So you may have 2 beats and 3 beats. There's no regularity as 2 or 4. So in a 5-4, you may have a grouping of notes of 2 and 3 or 3 and 2. In the 7, you can group your notes, or the notes are grouped as per 4-3, 3-4, 2-3-2, 2-2-3, many permutations and combinations. And these must be understood very clearly by the drummer, because the drummer is the person who's providing the backing for the whole band. And time signature is extremely important to keep it all together. So we now move on to dynamics and performance directions before we end. Pratik?
Yes, thank you so much. Now, dynamics are very important for a drummer. A drummer should have a wide range of dynamics. At the same time, also understand what a dynamic marking on a score means. First thing, there are the softer dynamics, PP, P, and MP. That means very soft, soft, and moderately soft. Then we have the louder dynamics, which is MF, F, and FF. Moderately loud, loud, and very loud. Next, we have crescendo, diminuendo. Crescendo means gradually getting louder. Diminuendo is the opposite, which means gradually getting softer. There is another term used in music. It's called hairpins. Hairpins are nothing but a crescendo placed right before, sorry, a diminuendo placed right after a crescendo. So on the chart, it looks like a hairpin. There are some performance directions we like to discuss. First up is the slash notation. You'll find slash notation in a lot of rock and pop songs. Over on top of the slash notation, as you can see on your screen, there'll be written the direction cont.sim dot, basically means continue similarly. The slash notations were used by songwriters and arrangers basically wherever they wanted the drummer or any other instrument to play something similar but not exactly the same. Next, we have marcato accents. Marcato accents basically are accents, louder notes played on the drums, could be on the snare, the kick drum, hi-hat, anywhere. Dal segno, which is abbreviated as DS on the score, which means repeat from the sign. It is a navigation marker that is used in a lot of music scores. DS means from the signs. It appears in sheet music and instructs a musician to repeat a passage from the sign that is shown over here in the presentation. Is like an S with a slash and two dots. Uh, it is accompanied by something called as DS al coda. It instructs the musician to go back to the sign, and whenever al coda or two coda is encountered on the score, it jumps the player has to jump to the coda symbol. Coda symbol, as you can see on your screen, is a circle with a plus sign, and coda is always the ending part of a song. Next performance direction is the fermata. Fermata is a symbol of music notation indicating that the note should be prolonged beyond the normal duration of its note value. And obviously we have the repeat measure, which is a slash sign with two dots where the drummer or the instrument player is being instructed to just repeat whatever was there before. Now I would like to uh, invite Anjali ma'am to provide a conclusion to our today's presentation.
Thank you, Prateek, and thank you, Albert. Well, just to wrap up things, today's world where we are making so much music, sharing it digitally, sharing it over many platforms, collaborating with people digitally, which has become the norm, the expectations from performing musicians is much more than their musical talent. So they have to be performers. That is the main thing. And as performers, they have to communicate their music and make a connect with the audience. That is very, very important. So when we are going through our rock and pop exams, we keep stressing the fact that it is all about performance, and we develop the skills which and musical abilities which will help you become a great performer on stage or as a session musician, however, whichever role you choose in your musical journey. So communication and performance is very important, and the Trinity Rock and Pop syllabus helps you get there. So our pieces, as you heard, are wonderful, uh, popular songs. You'll all enjoy playing them. So do try them out. And if you have any questions or any queries, you can always contact us over email. Here are some email IDs. And also, please visit the resources and teacher support on www.trinityrock.com, our website for rock and pop, which has a lot of invaluable support material. So please do visit our website, and our email IDs are here if you need any to contact anyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And thank you to the presenters and the panelists. We're going to be back next Wednesday with Teaching Trinity Rock and Pop Vocals. So see you again next Wednesday. Maybe not you all, but do tell your friends. Thank you very much, and bye-bye. Stay safe. So we're going to see if there are any questions that are unanswered. Can I just ask the panelists if we need to answer anything?
I think we have addressed all the questions. There is one about asking whether a recording will be available.
Yes, like our last webinar, all these webinars, we will be sharing the PDF of the presentation as well as a recording. We have all your email IDs, those who have attended, and we will share this with you. So by tomorrow, you can expect this. And we did have a lot of registrations. We will also be sharing the presentation and recording with the people who could not attend also today. So I think everything else has been addressed. There's something about a 2-bar pattern with push.
I think I answered the one about the ad lib, what the
Okay.
meaning of ad lib was, and about the fills, but it was then followed
Pratik,
by.
do you want to take this one?
would you like to
2-bar
take-
pattern with push.
What
I
does
don't know. I think he's
The
asking
question
what
was
is it?
incomplete. The
Yeah,
question is actually incomplete. The earlier part of the question was,
yeah.
how do you play ad lib with a 2-bar pattern? So I did explain that, what ad lib
I
meant.
think maybe he meant push and not ad lib. 2-bar pattern with a push.
right?
It was also explained, but maybe you'd like to take it again, Pratik?
Yes, absolutely. 2-bar pattern with push would mean any 2-bar pattern in drumming with a push, like Albert mentioned, basically accenting the ands and creating that push vibe. Also push can be very evident if it's played on the last and, that is and of 4. That is where the push becomes very prominent.
So if anybody wants any other information on this, you can always email Albert or Pratik. And is there any little tips? Somebody wanted some tips on tuning and how can we improve double strokes?
Well, for double strokes, I feel there is no other way but to
Albert, would
practice.
you, Pratik, would you mail this person? We will have the
Yes.
email ID. We will mail
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yes, a student can perform. Have you answered this, Priya? Can a student perform 2 technical focus songs?
Oh, I
that just came in. That just came
Okay,
in.
so you can perform 2, even 3 technical focus songs from your songbook, but please mark the one that you are performing for technical focus judging, because the marks are different. So you must put that TF, as Albert said, against the song in your appointment slip. Yes, we are sharing a link. I think somebody's given their email ID. Basu Malik, he's not got a name here, but it'll be there in our data that we get after the presentation. Right, so I think I'm going to end this. And once again, I'd like to thank you all. I hope you found it useful, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.